So the LeBron-Steph debate and battle has been going on for almost a decade, right? Dub Nation versus the LeBron fans. And it's gonna be a constant discussion and back and forth when it comes to talking about this era of basketball. But what has re-sparked that conversation was Rich Paul went on Gil's Arena podcast and said some things, right? Said a couple notable things. One, LeBron is better than Jordan, right? Surprise, surprise, he feels that way. But the other thing that really kind of caught headlines amongst Warrior fans was that if Steph were to have won that bubble championship, he would have got all the credit. But yet LeBron is not going to get that credit. Kind of whining, saying it's not fair. And again, Dub Nation kind of likes to point out every chance Rich Paul, Maverick Carter, or any of LeBron's camp gets a chance, they like to bring up Steph and maybe throw a little shade his way. Now, a lot of people think that the fact that Steph has as many rings as LeBron is really the root of this. And they just can't stand the fact that Steph has 4 rings as well and possibly could surpass LeBron in that way. I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. I really do. When you talk about the human psyche, and to do so, I'm going to use superhero metaphors. So follow me here for a second, because LeBron's camp, this is what they have to understand. Listen, LeBron James is Superman, right? We all acknowledge he's the most powerful. He almost seems like he's not even from this planet, right? But yet, for some reason, we all like Batman more, right? We all seem to kind of want to be Batman, not Superman, right? And Steph is Batman, right? Steph is a man. It goes, did you see the Batman versus Superman movie? And you remember when Batman had Superman dead to rights, and he looks at him and he goes, "You're not brave. Men are brave," right? And I thought that's kind of what it is as impressive as LeBron's legacy is, I think innately the people understand that Steph's legacy is even more impressive. It's even more impressive when you consider LeBron as Superman, right? And Batman is a mere mortal that everyone thinks they could be, they can relate to. And I think that is a psychological part of when we discuss the 2 top dogs of this era, right? And I think that plays a part when you discuss the people's champ. We're not talking Laker fans, Warrior fans, just the overall view of the casual fan. They're going to relate to and like Steph better because we like Batman better than Superman. Staying with the superhero theme, what does the Joker always tell Batman? You need me. We need each other to exist, right? And I think that ultimately, when you look at LeBron and Steph's legacy, they've helped each other's legacy. They've helped elevate each other. And so I think people have to realize that in this conversation. Now, I did want to make mention of Draymond Green here because he is kind of a subplot to this, right? Where Dub Nation has felt a type of way, not just because Draymond is affiliated with Clutch, obviously, and such close friends with LeBron, but he seems to never really stick up for Steph when these shots are being taken. Now, look, Draymond's a grown man. He has the right to affiliate and hang out with whoever he wants. But what I would ask Draymond is if he really did a true inventory on his relationship with those boys, is he not low-key an informant for them? Willingly or not, right? Because we all know Draymond can't help himself, right? He has to open his mouth and speak, right? And so I think that I don't have a problem with them being boys and hanging out, but at the same time, I do feel like, what's the saying? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I think that there is, in a way, a strategic chess move by LeBron and Rich Paul having Draymond always so close to them because he can't help but give up info to who? LeBron's biggest rival, the Warriors and Steph Curry. And so that's what I'll say about the Draymond connection to this. And as toxic as this conversation gets on Twitter, I just sit back and enjoy the rivalry. And I understand that Steph wouldn't be as great as he is today without LeBron, and LeBron wouldn't be as great as he is today without Steph. They've enhanced each other. But ultimately, when it comes to Rich Paul, Maverick Carter, these guys always bringing up Steph, it's like an insecurity. It's like they've got to bring it up before someone else does because, yeah, sure, this was the LeBron era, but the more important story when telling the history of this era is Steph. And I think that burns them at their core. So if you haven't noticed, the logo in the corner, Underdog Fantasy. I'm super excited to be partnered with them this season, man, because it's just a perfect fit for the channel. It's something I already play, and I want to have fun interacting with y'all in some fantasy leagues, sharing my picks and providing value all just within the natural flow of things, because we're going to be talking hoops, some football, maybe a little MMA. And so I'm just really excited to be partnered with Underdog. You can click the link in the description and use the code Alchemy to get 100% bonus on your first deposit up to $100. I'm also going to start a fantasy football league. I think we got to do it tonight. If you're interested in that, leave your comment in the link in the description and I'll send you an invite to that. But we'll be playing basketball, football, all that stuff. I'll be giving out my picks each week, and I'm going to start with some NBA season over and unders. And I've got specific reasons for these. Again, we're just talking hoops. I'm going to go under 8.7 rebounds for Kristaps Porzingis. 2 reasons. 1, the plantar fasciitis. You don't love that, right? And then you look at Boston with Al Horford and Rob Williams. You know they're going to have KP spotting up in the corner. They're going to have him playing on the perimeter. I think it's going to be tough for him to average, 9 rebounds a game. So I'm going under on KP for that. SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, under 29.9 points per game. You look, Chet Holmgren is back. Jalen Williams, year 2. They've just got such depth with this young Oklahoma City Thunder team. I'll tell you what, if SGA is averaging 30, they're underachieving. It should be more evenly dispersed with that roster. So under with SGA, and then my third pick, Tyrese Halliburton, over 9.7 assists per game. Are you watching him in Team USA, right? Like the dude is a dime. And here's I'll keep this simple with him. He is the only lead guard in the league right now who I think rather get an assist than score a basket. Enough said. So those are my first picks. Underdog Fantasy, link in the description. Hey, I'm planning to win. So we're going to have some fun with that this season. Now, did you see 2 roster moves in the last week within the Warriors division that just aren't great, right? We all are sitting around speculating how we're going to fill out this roster. If there's going to be a trade, they're going to flip Chris Paul. What's it going to be? Yesterday, the Lakers signed Christian Wood to a 2-year deal. And maybe he wouldn't have been a fit with the Warriors locker room, but he is certainly a talent that you imagine that's kind of back to the LeBron talk. One thing you got to give LeBron credit for is he usually has guys fall in line, right? There is a defined pecking order on these LeBron rosters, and they've been able to get optimum performance out of guys that have kind of bounced around the league. You could say the same thing for the Warriors, but I think it's just a different dichotomy, right? It's not a dictatorship like it is with LeBron and the Lakers, but they get Christian Wood. It's like, all right, well, Warriors probably weren't looking at him, but it does bolster one of our main rivals, right? And then last week, JaVale McGee, after being waived by the Mavericks, gets signed by Sacramento, another division opponent who the 2 teams we just saw in the playoffs, right? And JaVale, I thought once Dallas waived him that was going to be, I wasn't say a done deal, but I would have bet that JaVale would have been that final spot because it's another big, familiar with the system. They know the chemistry, and Sacramento and Mike Brown swooped him up. So not great news on the free agency front. Now, I don't think I've ever done this on my YouTube channel. I've tried to stay on brand. And I no longer have the Jerry Rice signed jersey here. My wife put up this paneling, and now I don't feel with it secure up there. It's a signed Jerry Rice jersey. I've been a Niner fan longer than I've been a Warrior fan. The truth is, because the Niners were dominant in the 80s when I was a little kid. The Warriors, I really caught on to it when we got the Weber pick. So 92, 93. I knew Run TMC, but I was a kid, and then Weber is when I started to hone in and follow every game. But I digress. This is the first time I've talked 49ers on the channel, and I think I'm going to sprinkle it in here and there because people have asked for the takes, and it's maybe the most controversial and fascinating team in the NFL right now, right? Let's start first with the Brock Purdy, Trey Lance thing. I've heard a lot. I mean, you want to talk about Warriors Twitter being toxic? Niners Twitter can take that cake any day, right? To me, listen, man, and I know that the Wiseman comparisons have been thrown out there all the time. Just like any other Niner fan, I was super excited to get Trey Lance because I knew Jimmy wasn't good enough. So all the eggs in that basket, through the COVID year and all that, I was super excited. And the first time I saw him out there drop back and throw, if you're being honest with myself, I was like, ooh, that didn't look good. Like just right away, it was like, it just like with Wiseman, like that feel, I don't know. I don't really like it. It didn't look good, man. And so to me, a spade is a spade. We can talk about the opportunities, and I really didn't like race being thrown into this. Now, I absolutely believe that race may play a part in the way he was covered through various sources, but within the locker room and the organization, I maybe I'm naive to think this. I think football is way too damn competitive for them to be worried about that. If Trey Lance was a baller and could throw the ball, he'd be the quarterback. Why would Lynch and Shanahan make themselves look this bad? Why would they sabotage the player they invested that much in? It just made no sense. So best of luck to him. It was a tough circumstances for him, but I don't see it. He can't run. He can't throw. He doesn't. That's how I feel. Purdy, listen, if he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be hovering around a top 10 guy. You want to talk about the it factor, that je ne sais quoi quality? It's just there. You can feel it. You can feel it, right? It goes back to, I had said this a week or two ago on my Patreon. Someone had asked Steph, who's next? Who's next, right? And he goes, oh, it's Luka. He goes, it's Luka. He goes, when you're out there playing against him, you can feel it. You can feel it, right? That arbitrary it. And I don't know. And quarterbacking is the easiest thing to get wrong in all of sports. We understand that, right? But I've been around and watched enough to know in those 6 or 7 games, it was like, oh, this dude kind of has it. And so I'm excited for him, and even possibly Darnold getting an opportunity with his talent. On to the Nick Bosa discussion though, man, because I guess the argument is you can't pay a non-quarterback that type of money. But you look at the way the roster's constructed, Brock getting paid peanuts relatively, right? You got to pay Bosa. And I've heard the argument that, well, then you probably lose Kittle and Juszczyk and some of these skill position guys. So what? That's why you have Kyle Shanahan. He is going to scheme up the talent on offense. You still have got CMC. You've still got Debo. Okay, that's the cost. Nick Bosa to the defense is like what Steph Curry is to the Warriors offense. He creates so much attention on him. It opens up everything else for everybody else along that line. The secondary has to defend for a less amount of time, right? And so I think you got to get it done now. Is he going to play in Pittsburgh, or are they going to risk that? I don't know. That's going to be a tough one. And you look at this Shanahan regime, they historically get off to a slow start regardless of who's playing. And so those are my Niner takes, though. Let me know in the comments if you guys want me to keep giving those, where I can, at least before the NBA season starts. That's it from me. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.